Today we're going to be looking at, continuing in our series on wisdom, we're going to be looking at wisdom in light of justice and righteousness. And issues of justice often come down to the equitable sharing of wealth, do they not? Concerning the use of money and resources, we need wisdom when it comes to how to handle our resources. There's a lot to learn here. Most of us don't have this kind of wisdom as we begin our adult lives. This was certainly true of me and Chris. I remember early in our marriage, it was a couple of weeks before we got married, we decided that we needed to buy a new car. New, as in brand new. Mistake number one, we should have gotten a late model used car, but we went to the dealership to buy a new car. Chris had saved money and we had enough to buy a car. So this was in the day that when the price of new cars in dealerships was hugely inflated. Things are changing now, but this was 1978. So we went and we looked at this car. We found this car we really liked. It was a Toyota Corolla. And we were unaware that people would normally negotiate something more reasonable in terms of the purchase price of a car. So the nice man who helped us led us to believe that the price on the window sticker was what we should pay. And it wasn't until I got home later, proudly showing my father this car that we had purchased, that I found out that we had actually given them hundreds of dollars more than we needed to. And my dad said, John, you paid the sticker price for that car? We clearly needed wisdom concerning money. Our text today touches on this subject, wisdom having to do with how we use our resources. But it has to do with what is likely the best possible use of our resources. Verse 13, did you notice it? Did you hear it? If you close your ears to the poor, you will cry out and not be heard. And then verse 15, when justice is done, it's a joy to the righteous. The message that comes into focus here is that justice, when it happens, is a good thing. It's a cause for rejoicing and celebration. But when it doesn't happen, when the cries of the poor are ignored, or when the needy are taken advantage of, there is a natural consequence, and this is not good. It's a bad day when that happens. When I think of the Old Testament theme of justice and how it's expressed in the Old Testament, I immediately think of the prophet Amos, who lived in the 8th century BCE, and in the 5th chapter 5 of the book that bears Amos's name, there is this well-known saying, "Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream." Have you heard this before? It should sound familiar. Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. The verse was famously quoted by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in several of his speeches, I think including the one in Washington, D.C., his most famous speech. Have you ever thought about how fitting this metaphor of water or a river is for justice? What happens for places like Washington State when rivers flow through communities? They can be utilized, can they not? They can be utilized for good. Irrigation and good crops can grow. Perhaps water for drinking if the water is captured high enough in the mountains where it's safe. Good things come from rivers that flow through communities. And though in the scriptures, water represents both healing and destruction, though. When Jesus talked to the woman at the well in John chapter 4, he spoke of living water And both John the Baptist and Jesus used water, of course, to represent forgiveness of sins and even new life. But God also sent water to punish evil during the time of Noah. And after saving the Israelites from the Egyptians through the water, he used that same water to kill their pursuers. Water represents both healing and destruction, and it's a powerful image in Scripture. In our experience, what happens in places like Florida or Pakistan or in Senegal? What happens when water does not flow well? What happens? Anybody know? Yeah, we have floods, and we've been seeing that a lot in the last few months. Floods mean, among other things, that water did not reach the places where it was necessary. There was too much, too fast, and the water pools in the wrong place and causes destruction and even death. Amos is saying God's justice is like this. It needs to flow. And if it does, there will be good results. And if it does not, there will be bad results. So how do we respond to this? One answer may be that we need to make sure that when we hear of injustice, especially when it comes to the needy, that we let mercy and justice flow, and that we need not stop the flow of help, but allow it to reach those who need it. And then, watch what happens. Watch what happens to those who receive this help. But also notice what happens to you when you're involved. You may find yourself in a more joyful place, celebrating the triumph of justice. When I think about a commitment to justice and a constant flow of help to those who need it, I think of a person. And he's here this morning. I think of Adama, my brother. And it's amazing that we have Adama and Marie here this weekend. And I'd like to actually conclude this time of considering justice and helping the poor by having Adama come up. You've been wondering what these chairs are for, I'm sure. I'd like to have Adama come up. And I'm going to use this mic, Tristan, if that's okay. Come on over here, Adama. Have a seat. We're going to have a moment. We're going to have kind of a Larry King live moment. You probably don't know what that is, but the rest of us do. We're going to have a little interview here. I would like to just ask you some questions. The first of which is, just generally, what is it like to be poor in Senegal? How is it different than being poor in America? We have poor people in America. There are poor people in Senegal. I think probably a lot more poor people in Senegal. What's it like to be poor in Senegal?
Thank you, Pastor John, for asking this question. So I think in Africa, we describe poverty as someone who is lacking the basic, things he needs to live, and like material poverty is in Africa, poverty is material poverty. Mm-hmm. And I think that is different from America. I think everywhere we see America as a country which is blessed materially. So the definition we could give to poverty in Africa or in Senegal is different than the one we can give here. Here we would maybe have a different definition which is not related to material, possessions, because we know how much God has blessed this country. But we can maybe give a definition of poverty here by saying maybe it would be good, like if the American community, would make more rooms for God, That is the area where I would say that maybe if there is any poverty that I would name here in the States would be God needs more rooms, in the hearts of the people, because you are a country that God has blessed, and it's very, very important also, to open, your heart and receive Him. Yet in Africa, I would say Africans, they believe in God. Even if there were animism, they acknowledge the existence of God and the influence of God in our life, or the dependency of our life, to God. So forever, Africans recognize that God does exist. He is there, and He can help. Especially when you are in a poor, when you are in poverty, you always, pray to God to open or to give you opportunities for the daily needs that you face.
So when I have been with you, and we've been together many times over these 15 years, I see you doing a lot of things every day. I see a lot of people coming to you to ask for help. And you're involved with many, many people, many pastors in the area. But my question for you is, when someone comes to you for help, whether it's a friend or a family member, why not just ignore them? Why not just do nothing?
That is a very good question. People are very different, and it is difficult for me to reject or not to help a family member, a friend, or even someone I don't know. I just have come across and I see he is a needy person. It's difficult, for Africans to say no when they can help. Why? Because we believe that when you were born in a family, there were many people who have been influencing positively your life until you get to where you are. And in some ways, we feel that we need to pay back, the investment that people have made in our life. Unless people had helped us, give us, we would not have what we have or would not be where we are. This is why, for many, it is a matter of conscience. When a family member comes to you for help, you can do it, but you decide not to do it. This is a shame. This is shame. This is why, personally, I think sometimes it is difficult, to be wanting to help everyone. But also, because I believe in God, I believe in Christ, and I know it is God's will also to help when you can do it, And we have been helping all the people, everyone who have been coming to us and asking for help. But we also have seen that we have never been in a situation that we were overwhelmed by our need, or we didn't find a way out, for the difficult situation our family might be. God was always providing. And personally, I don't think I have helped more than I have been helped. And this is very important. So it is a matter of faith, And sometimes, even like when someone comes, I may go borrow, I don't have it, but I go ask someone to lend me, and I will give. And afterward, you will see what God will do, I remember when I was in CAR, there was a student from Madagascar. The Christmas was coming, and they sent to me a text message wanting help, financial help. We were together, students, but they had finished and they went back to Madagascar. So they sent to me a message, if I can help them, for Christmas. I didn't have, enough money. I had only my scholarship. But I remember, I think I sent them about 50,000. And guess what had happened?
15,000.
50, yeah.
So
CFA.
Probably
100, maybe $100.
Maybe $100, okay.
And guess what had happened? I went to the post office to send them the money, And when I looked at my cell phone, I saw that somebody sent me the exact amount of money. So I sent the money and I retrieved the other one. Mm-hmm. God replaced it.
Yeah, wonderful.
So, yes, in Africa, when you can help, when you have the means to help, you have to do it because somebody had helped you. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the easy way.
So talking about that, there is a time in your life, either when you were a very young person or even when you were a young married couple, that you were very poor. Mm-hmm. Did someone help you? Was there somebody who helped you at times? And who was that person, and how did that affect you now?
Yes. So I was asked this question in Peekskill. We have been there before we come here.
In New York.
New York, yes, at First Baptist Church. And they asked us, the missionaries that they had invited, to share with them a person who had been very influential to your life. Mm-hmm. And that's the same question that you're asking me. Mm-hmm. And that person is Pastor Adama Diouf. Mm-hmm. As I said, if it were not because of the help or the vision that Pastor Adama Diouf had on me, maybe I would not be here today. Because when I was in high school and I saw how poor my parents were and how needy they were, I decided when we were on, I think it was Christmas holidays, I went to the village and I didn't want to come back because I had a new vision, which was to stop my studies and to be a tile worker. So I didn't go back when the holidays were finished. And Pastor Adama, when he didn't see me in church, he drove to the village, to find me there. And I was surprised also to see him. And he said to me, "Why are you not back to church to continue your studies?" And I explained to him, that I wanted to really go work and get some money and to be able to help my parents. And he told me, "No, please, your parents will not die. It's important for you to go finish your studies." And that is the same year that I got my baccalaureate to finish high school to go to college. So that person also has been, like when I accepted Christ in 1988, and I was a student, my parents could not afford to pay my studies, okay? And afterwards, people from the Baptist church, they helped me, finish my school. And at that time, Pastor Adama had finished his training in the theological school in Central Africa Republic, and he came as the pastor of the Baptist church. So when I was a student and very involved in the church, he was there. So he could see in me something that maybe the church would need. And he had invited me to work as the accountant and the administrator of the church. And I did that for 7 years. So after my accounting training, I wanted to go find a work somewhere else. But the pastor saw maybe in that young man who was Adama, that maybe God could use him also for the church. And it was because of him that I am really involved in the ministry. While working for the church and seeing what the church was doing in terms of church planting, it was really at that time that I was serving the church, I received the calling, to continue the mission work that we are doing in Senegal. So Pastor Adama is the person who had impacted my life. And even sometime when I talk about this, I always cry because he passed away in 2018. And we were very, very surprised because he was not that old, you see. And he left behind him, a young family, a wife with 4 young daughters and 1 young son, who is the age of my oldest son. And this is why, for all these things that he did in my life, and I remember the last trip he made to Philippines. He called me on the phone, say, "Adama, I'm going to a very far away trip. So please, you may look at the family if there is any need that is there, if you can help them." That was his last trip when he was working with World Vision, going to a very far away country. He called on me to be able to do something for the family. But now that he has gone forever, and I am there back in church with the family.
So it seems to me, as I look at this whole picture, I see that this help and this amazing love kind of flowed into your life,
Exactly.
and this is part of what motivates you to continue it, to keep it going.
So, yes, it is very, very important. And I think the Bible is really inviting us to imitate those among us who are really good examples. And Pastor Adama has been that.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the things I'm doing, he did them. I saw him, do them.
Mm-hmm.
And not only Pastor Adama, but many people from you guys, who has been coming involved in the ministry and seeing all the help that you are bringing, whether you came or not. I know many came, but many stayed here just to send. And as they were saying in First Baptist Church, every believer is whether a goer or a sender or a disbeliever. Disobedient. Disobedient. Yeah. Whether, you are a goer, a sender, or a disobedient. So, and having your teams, having people like you, because he also, had influenced also my life, in terms of the mission. Because whenever he comes, we were sitting, discussing, and I have learned a lot from you guys, from Pastor Adama, but from you. Mm-hmm. Generosity. For example, if I could say that, who are the people I have learned generosity from, I would say it is Mountain View. Mm-hmm. People like John Mason, like the Larsons, like the Laytons, all of you guys. I don't want to name you, like Duard King, huh? So, all of you guys, you have taught me, to be generous, and this is how I put it. Many pastors, give me phone calls. They share with me their needs, and I said, okay. They come to me, and I come to you guys because I know maybe I can say in terms of blessings, I would say America is much more blessed than Senegal. Then the individuals also here, I would say, are more blessed than the individual in Senegal. So when they come to me, I said, okay, God, I'm going also to the guys you have blessed. And those guys also, they go to God and God give them. So God give you, mm-hmm. you give me, and I give the people. Yeah. That's how it goes.
Amen.
That's how it goes, yeah. So thank you so much. Mm-hmm.
This is, to me, this is actually a confirmation of the kind of thing I've been thinking about justice and righteousness flowing mm-hmm. like a river. And
that's true.
That's really what I was wanting to us to kind of catch the vision of mm-hmm. today. There are going to be opportunities for all of us who live here, whether it's getting involved with. We have some of our deacons who are kind of leading us into helping with the Marysville food bank, the community food bank. The needs are going to be growing this year, of course. There's also going to be, as there has been in previous years, the cold weather shelter is going to be opening soon. There's an organization called Link Northwest mm-hmm. that is going to be that. We have really good news. The cold weather shelter is going to open at Bethlehem Lutheran Church when it gets cold, and there'll be opportunities for us to serve in that way as well. And of course, we've been talking a lot here at Mountain View about helping out with our medical clinic. We're just about ready to put the roof on the top floor. It's been going up, and we're wanting to continue the fundraising effort to be able to put the security wall around the whole property. So there's opportunities for all of us to be kind of involved in this flow of generosity that happens, and I just wanted us to consider that this morning. I thank you for helping us out with this morning. I will tell you guys that back in 2007, as Todd and I and several others, Lynn, went to Senegal the first time, I really wanted to go to Senegal and help. And what happened was I went to Senegal and I started learning things. Because the Senegalese way of thinking about justice and mercy and generosity is we have a lot to learn from them. And we've been learning it this morning as well. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.